Hi guys, today we will study Class 11th Snapshot Chapter 1, Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, written by William Saroyan. It opens with the 9-year-old narrator Aram looking back at a magical time in his childhood when his cousin Mourad, widely regarded as crazy by everyone except Aram, woke him up at 4 o'clock on a summer morning by tapping on his bedroom window. Peering outside into the early daybreak light, Aram is astonished and rubs his eyes in disbelief to find Mourad sitting atop a magnificent white horse. Speaking in Armenian, Mourad confirms that the sight is real and urges Aram to hurry outside if he wants a chance to ride. Aram is overwhelmed with conflicting emotions. While his deepest and earliest longing has always been to ride a horse, his family's reality stands in direct contradiction. Their entire Armenian tribe is impoverished and has no money, leaving Aram struggling to reconcile his dream of riding with the impossibility of his poor cousin legitimately possessing such a horse. Aram reflects deeply on the contradiction between his passionate longing to ride a horse and the severe economic reality of his family. Every branch of the Garoghlanian tribe lives in comical, extreme poverty, so poor that no one understands how they even afford food. Despite this hardship, their family has been renowned for 11 centuries for an uncompromising reputation of pride, honesty, and a clear moral sense of right and wrong. Principles so strong that no member of the tribe would ever take advantage of anyone or steal. Because of this legacy, even as Aram experiences the vivid physical reality of the horse, seeing its magnificence, smelling it, and hearing its breathing, he cannot believe Mourad could have acquired it legitimately. Knowing Mourad could not afford to buy it leads to the unsettling realization that Mourad must have stolen it, an act completely forbidden by their tribal code. When Aram directly asks Mourad where he stole the horse, Mourad dodges the question by telling him to leap out of the window if he wants to ride, confirming Aram's suspicion. To soothe his conscience, Aram rationalizes the theft. He convinces himself that taking the horse merely for the passion of riding is not the same as stealing money, and it would only truly count as stealing if they ever attempted to sell the animal. Mourad urges him to hurry, leading Aram to throw on his clothes and jump out of the window to join his cousin on the horse. Aram dresses quickly, leaps down from his bedroom window, and climbs onto the horse behind Mourad. Living on Walnut Avenue at the town's edge, they quickly ride past vineyards, orchards, and country roads into Olive Avenue, where the brisk morning air and the sensation of the galloping horse fill them with delight. As they ride, Mourad begins to roar with song, displaying the crazy streak inherent to their tribe. Aram explains that Mourad is considered the spiritual descendant of their eccentric Uncle Khosrove, a massive, short-tempered man from the San Joaquin Valley, known for loudly silencing any concern with his signature catchphrase, "It is no harm, pay no attention to it." Even when his own son rushed to a barber shop to report their house was burning down, Uncle Khosrove dismissively roared the same line. Although Mourad's biological father, Zorab, is a purely practical and ordinary man, Aram notes that the inheritance of spirit within their tribe is capricious and does not always follow bloodlines. After letting the horse run freely across the open countryside, while Mourad continues singing at the top of his lungs, Mourad instructs Aram to dismount so that he can ride the horse alone. The page concludes with Aram stepping down and asking whether he will be given the chance to ride alone as well. Mourad tells Aram that whether he gets to ride alone depends entirely on the horse, reminding him that he himself possesses a special way with a horse. Aram stubbornly insists that he shares that same understanding, though Mourad warns him to hope so purely for his own safety. Once Aram dismounts, Mourad kicks his heels into the animal and shouts, "Vazire, run." The horse dramatically rears on its hind legs, snorts, and bursts into a breathtaking fury of speed. Mourad gallops across a field of dry grass, leaps over an irrigation ditch, and returns about 5 minutes later, completely soaked from the ride. By the time Mourad finishes, the sun has begun to rise. Reminding his cousin of the promise, Aram steps forward for his turn to ride alone. Mourad dismounts and gives him permission, but the moment Aram leaps onto the horse's back, he is paralyzed by pure fear as the horse refuses to move. Mourad urges him to kick into the animal's muscles so they can finish before the world wakes up. When Aram kicks in, the horse immediately rears and snorts once again. When Aram kicks into the horse's muscles, the animal rears, snorts, and bolts completely out of control. Instead of running across the field toward the irrigation ditch, the horse dashes down the road into the vineyard of Garoghlanian, leaping over 7 grapevines before unseating Aram and running away into the distance. Mourad quickly catches up, prioritizing the recovery of the horse over Aram's fall, and they split up to track it down. It takes Mourad half an hour to find and secure the animal. With the morning fully awake, Mourad decides to hide the horse until the following morning rather than return it immediately. During this exchange, Aram realizes that Mourad has been riding the horse secretly for quite some time. When questioned, Mourad admits he is lying about having just started that morning, explaining that if they are caught, Aram must stick to that story, so both of them are not branded as liars. Mourad then leads the horse quietly to the barn of an abandoned vineyard, once owned by a farmer named Fetvajian, where they shelter the animal with a supply of oats and dry alfalfa. As the two boys walk home, Mourad explains that taming the wild horse required a simple and honest understanding, assuring the 9-year-old Aram that he will learn how to handle horses once he turns 13. Later that afternoon, Uncle Khosrove visits Aram's house to drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, and reminisce about the old homeland. Another visitor arrives, John Byro, an Assyrian farmer who has learned Armenian out of loneliness. While sharing coffee and tobacco, Byro sadly reveals that his white horse was stolen a month ago and remains missing. Uncle Khosrove reacts with his typical irritable outbursts, shouting that losing a horse is insignificant compared to the loss of their homeland. Every practical grievance John Byro raises, the uselessness of his carriage, Surrey without a horse, walking 10 miles on an aching leg, and the loss of $60, is aggressively dismissed by Khosrove roaring his catchphrase, "Pay no attention to it," before slamming the screen door and storming out. Aram's mother then steps in to comfort the visitor, explaining that Uncle Khosrove means no harm and simply acts out of homesickness. After John Byro leaves, Aram rushes over to Mourad's house and finds him under a peach tree, gently repairing the injured wing of a young robin while talking softly to it. Aram informs Mourad that John Byro visited their home seeking his stolen horse, which Mourad has held for a month. Aram pleads with Mourad to keep the animal until he learns how to ride, suggesting they keep it for an entire year. Mourad leaps up in indignation, roaring against the idea of a Garoghlanian family member engaging in outright theft, and insists the horse must be returned to its rightful owner within 6 months at the latest, before gently tossing the healed bird into the air to fly away. For the next 2 weeks, the boys continue taking the horse from the deserted vineyard barn early every morning to ride. Without fail, the horse repeatedly throws Aram over vines and small trees whenever he attempts to ride alone, though Aram remains hopeful he will master it. The routine is disrupted one morning on their way to the barn, when they encounter John Byro walking into town. Mourad insists on handling the interaction, claiming he has a way with farmers. Mourad politely greets the farmer and tells him the horse's name is My Heart in Armenian. John Byro closely examines the horse, noting its striking resemblance to his stolen steed, and asks for permission to inspect its mouth, which Mourad willingly grants. Upon examining the horse's teeth, John Byro remarks that the animal is an exact match for his stolen horse, stating that only a suspicious man would trust his eyes over his heart, especially given the Garoghlanian family's well-known fame for unwavering honesty. Convinced the horse must simply be the twin of his stolen steed, Byro bids them a polite good day and walks away. The following morning, the boys quietly return the horse to John Byro's vineyard and lead it into the barn. Even the farm dogs follow along silently, which Mourad attributes to his natural way with dogs. Before leaving, Mourad tenderly embraces the animal, pressing his nose against the horse's muzzle and patting it in farewell. That afternoon, John Byro arrives at Aram's house in his Surrey, overjoyed to show Aram's mother that his missing horse has been returned, stronger, healthier, and better tempered than ever before. Uncle Khosrove, sitting in the parlor, immediately erupts in irritation, roaring at Byro to be quiet because his horse is back, and telling him to pay no attention to it, and simply acts out of homesickness.